Because a statement saying that she was the whole history about how they called her, said she had, originally was suicide and changed it.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
It's there.
Well, now you are. Where is it, on the day pier? Yep.
Yeah, at the end, it's on a lamp pole right at the end.
It's not where they found the body.
No.
But you see, that's why
it's only a couple blocks from there.
What were you doing last night?
Actually, like, when you were here the last time, I went to the general delivery, and for some strange reason, welfare has denied my case. I have to reapply, so I went off kind of off the deep end. Because I said, I have no money to go to the court for, I have nothing to do. So I explained it to Allison. Allison and I spent like 2 hours trying to get a hold of welfare. They give you the bureaucratic bullshit that you want to hold. And tomorrow I just got to go reapply and call for a hearing.
Is that all part of Giuliani's new program?
I don't really understand why I was denied, because I complied to everything that they asked me to do. I brought them information all the way from Yonkers that my case has been closed in Yonkers. They had my medical papers in Yonkers, St. Joseph's Hospital. And they give you this runaround that they don't tell you what they want. So I was counting on this money. I mean, it was 45 days, over 45 days. I was counting on monies, and now I haven't. So, I don't know. But I am going to the COPA thanks to Miss Allison, and, because she's going to make sure that she already had me put on a space anyway, but.
Saying I saw Allison last night.
I know, because when she met you, we had left each other.
Yeah, she said that.
So she's telling me, she's thinking of putting me on her staff part-time, for a little, answering the phones and doing a little paperwork. And then, off the camera, Randy. If Randy teaches me how to make these holders on his store, I can do a couple of days' work over there. Because I do like to work. Because it helps me in my head.
What kind of work have you done?
The last 20-some odd years, I've been a food service manager. But I pick up things very easily, and I can work and do what has to be done. If I'm shown once or twice, I know what to do. And, I'm not afraid of work. I'm not afraid of lifting. And even through the years of being in food service, part of the job, I was always a food service working manager, so I always worked my butt off. I mean, I've run units by myself, just myself and my cashier. I did the cooking, the ordering, the paperwork, and all the other stuff, so it's not like I don't know what I'm doing. I just haven't done it in 3 years. I haven't been working in 3 years. But anything that, comes my way, and then I'm capable, once I know that I'm capable of doing it, and it doesn't take that much for anybody to learn how to do it. If you're an intelligent person, you can do anything in life besides, hustling on the streets. And I learned that a lot of years ago when I moved upstate and I was able to buy a house and whatnot. So I know that I'm an intelligent person.
What I thought we could do today is, from here, let's head on down to the piers.
Yeah.
And then we'll go straight up Christopher Street.
I just want to wash up a little bit,
And,
how do you wash up?
Well, we have water jugs. Well, these are kind of empty, but we have some over here. We get them. We get water from the fire hydrant.
Yeah.
We fill these up and we wash up with these. We take our little horse baths, as I call them. During the summer months, we were actually going out in the fire hydrant and then just taking a shower and whatnot.
How long
been here since a week before Gay Pride Day this year.
Did you build this yourself, or?
Actually, someone else built this. Actually, you see this house over here, Randy, is Terry's house.
Does Terry still live there?
No, she's gone. But that was Terry's house, and Terry went through 2 winters here.
Yeah.
And
How
John and Jim that live down the street on Shady Brook Lane, as we call it. Yeah, I want you to meet them.
Yeah.
Actually, John is cleaning right now. Built this, but then they decided to move down there, and they actually built this house too.
How sturdy is this? I mean, when it...
Actually, it's very good. Let me let me go see if my little friend.
Okay, when we have a windstorm, does it?
Oh, it holds up very well. Right here, you can film it here. John is sleeping.
Okay.
This is my little segment of the house. Because Vinny and Tom live on that side. You can go and film. It's, very decor, We haven't filmed cute, We have it dressed up. This is my closet where I keep my clothes.
Any gowns?
Yeah, the gowns, I don't need them. I can't keep them. Just stuff open.
Now, does this belong to the city?
The property belongs to the city. It does. And we just
Do you have electricity? I see a fan.
Yeah, well, but that I found in the street, and I've never been able to sell it, so it's just sitting up. But we keep it up. And I know, being that you knew Marsha for a long time, as well as I did. I got my little candles burning in the corner for the saints. And we're like doing we had the summer house, as we called it. All this was not covered like this. All this was open with plastic that we would roll up so we could have air. But now that it's winter and it's getting a little bit chilly.
You have no heat though, right?
We have no heat. And we're just like doing this until we get out of here before the winter comes in. But like I said, the kids, Jim and John, like I told them that
Have you ever spent a winter in these, like outdoors in an environment like this?
I spent winters with Marsha and some of the other drag queens many years ago before Storehouse, and during the beginning of Storehouse, out in the street, but.
They didn't have homeless encampments in those days.
We didn't. We slept in hallways, or either Marsha or I had a hotel room where we snuck everybody in. It wasn't like this. This is like a complete new atmosphere for me, because I've been like this. Let me have a cigarette before you go.
While we're doing this, why don't we get a little into it? We're going to take the microphone out, and I'll show you on your screen.
Stonewall Veterans meeting is... Okay, over here, we happen not to be HIV positive or anything, but my friends and the kids, as I call them, because they're all younger than me, they are actually ill. There's 2 people down there that's got full-blown AIDS that have been out in the streets for 10 years. And I don't see where this money is going from this community. That I'm not saying that they have to...
Are they plugged in to try to get into places like Bailey House?
They have tried.
So just because you're homeless, you're just the lowest priority, right?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And it's, it's funny that, like I said, I'm going to bring it up at the meeting tomorrow. I want a meeting with the director of the Gay Community Service Center and find out why there's nothing being done. Even bag lunches. What does it cost? It's a tax write-off.
Well, what if you could try God's Love We Deliver?
When people deliver around here, they deliver over there to this pier. They don't think about it.
Now, what is this pier over here?
Over there, that's what was called in the paper a couple of months ago. That's Shanty Town. If you see the Shanty Town. Unfortunately, it's like, you know, our community's always been drug orientated and whatnot. On this side of the pier, which, you know, a lot of people notice the red, white, and blue and the gay colors flying, and it's always cleaner than over there. So they don't come over here because they figure that we don't have a spot better than they do.
Are they gay over there, or is it?
There are basically a lot of drag queens that live down at that end, but mostly all straights up at this end. Over here, this is our little gay community here.
Now you said about drugs. Are they more drug oriented on the other side over there?
Actually, the way that the New York Times and whatnot and what the girls put into the paper, the drag queens let themselves be interviewed, and they told them that they were crackheads and they would go out up the street right here. And, you know, when we go out, I'll show you where they'll hustle, where they hustle at night and whatnot. And they put their own business out on the street, which has made that very hard. The police don't bother us here because they know that we don't do anything except sit around and get drunk or either. Because basically, I hate to use the word, but the majority of us in our little gay pier, we all have a drinking problem. We have an alcoholic problem. But we're not into the heavy drugs or anything. And I'm the first one to say, oh, I'll smoke a joint in a minute with a beer in my hand, but my thing is alcohol, and Randy, you've known that for years. But let me take...
Why don't we have like a mic and everything? So maybe you could like give Randy a tour of the piers.
Well,
that one
I don't go to. That one I definitely do not touch. This one this is what is mainly my main interest, you know, as far as documenting anything for my memoirs and, you know, but because these kids, it's like, you know, you spoke to Janice the other day, you saw how disorientated she was. Yeah. And these are my main concerns right now. I mean, I've always been a rebel. And I'm not even thinking of myself or getting myself off the streets at this point. I'm thinking more of the people that have the HIV virus.
Have they tried getting the GMHC, any of those organizations to help them?
They have gone to several organizations, and people are just not giving the help that we think they're supposed to be giving. And that's what's beginning to bother me. I see that there's so much money after Sunday, the money that was raised. Why didn't the gay men's health crisis get the money? It went to the gay, lesbian service center, not to where it's supposed to go. As far as I'm concerned, that money had no business being directed to the gay service center.
You mean you're talking about the Gay Community Center? Or?
Right, the Gay Community Center, whatever they call it. Now, the lesbian gays, you know. I still call, to me, there's only one word. It's gay. Lesbians and gays, as far as in my book, you know, through all the years that I've been in the movement, I've always had the respect for the lesbians and whatnot, but Randy, you and I both know that when the Stonewall Rebellion started and the Stonewall riots started, there were no gay women that were arrested. And why lesbians have to be put in front of the word gay when we're all gay, then we might as well just start a whole new segment in our history and have everybody define drag queens. You know, everything is lesbian and gay. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe that it should be that way.
Well, during the Stonewall era, there was real segregation. I remember, I mean, you almost never had any contact between lesbians and gay men.
Unless you
I mean, there were a couple lesbian bars, but no one ever went there, and very few lesbians came to gay male bars.
And that's true.
We should do like an interview with the mic, because then I can get both of you on.
Okay.
I think that would be about
Tacky?
Yeah, I call her Miss Tacky, and then I got her sister looks like her, and I call her Shady. Shady Brook Lane, and then we got Bruno. And I think the other two are sleeping somewhere.
You're gonna give them away?
We're gonna give them to
yeah, we're going to donate them to
we wanted to give them to an AIDS hospice, but from what we understand is that something in the feline stool,
right, toxoplasmosis, right,
causes. So we're going to give them to like an area for the elderly, you know, because we want them to get good homes. And the moms we're going to keep, which is called Sylvia the cat. Miss Terry did name her cat after me, and
what happened to Terry since he got kicked out?
Terry's running around getting drunk and acting stupid. Unfortunately, you know, I've known Terry for 26 years, and
he's just wasted all the time.
He's just like lost all sense of reality, and it's.
You know, they say alcoholics hit bottom, and then either they bounce back or they die.
But I don't think with Terry, unfortunately, I don't think she's hit bottom and she's not going to bounce back right now. I don't see it. It's like, you know, I hit bottom. You know, this is not my first time that I've hit bottom as far as, you know, because of my drinking and whatnot, but...
Well, you find out life's a roller coaster. You're on top one day and on the bottom.
And then you're on the top, and then you come back down.
Right.
And you know, it's like when I lose my head and whatnot, I, you know, do stupid things like I did in May, you know, jump in the river and try to kill myself because you know, that's when I reach bottom. Then I bounce back. But what's giving me a lot of incentive right now is like, being back in the village instead of being in Westchester and keeping myself confined from what my life has always been is to fight for something and stop being comfortable, because I was comfortable for a lot of years. You know, like I said, we owned a house. My lover and I did own a house, and I ran a catering business on the side. I was making monies, and actually what happened, you know, it's been like 3 years is when I got that telegram that Marsha was dead. I mean, I lost a lot of my incentive to do anything. And that's when I started reaching for the bottle more heavily than I was doing. And I find myself back in this situation, but as I look at the river a lot of times, and Marsha gives me a lot of strength, is that I got to keep fighting for somebody, because Marsha was a fighter. We were both fighters, and I am a survivor. Marsha is not here to survive with me. Marsha, unfortunately, she passed on, but she's with me in spirit, and she gives me a lot of hope. Every time I look at that damn river and I sit there and meditate on the river, I actually feel her spirit telling me, you gotta keep fighting, girlie, because it's not time for you to cross
the River Jordan.
And we were supposed to cross it together.
You know, that's one reason the cops thought that she committed suicide, because she had been heard saying to somebody in a bar, cross the River Jordan. She said that 5 times a day.
For years.
5 times a day, every day of her life.
For years.
For years. It was her favorite term.
There was an incident one time when I lived with her on 12th Street that she came in, and she was at a dance. And her and Terry had to break down the house to her door because I had slipped my wrist. I had lost it. And actually, it was like the 4th anniversary Gay March when I was beat up on stage by Vito Russo, Mama Jean told him to go ahead and do it. That's when Gino Leary got powerful and drag queens were no longer needed in the movement.
Gino Leary finally sort of had a scandalous end, you know.
Yes, I understand that, old tacky bitch. Oh, I love her dearly. But Marsha came home and she felt that I had done something. And I had the walls splattered with blood and whatnot. I got 60 stitches because I slid up. And she came home, and her and Terry were actually the ones that had me sent to the hospital. And Marsha said, you're not crossing that River Jordan without me. Me and you and I will cross it together. And when she died, part of me went with her because one of our pacts was that we would always cross the River Jordan together. And to me, this is the River Jordan, the Hudson River. And what I did in May to jump in the river in Yonkers and whatnot was that I was really at my wit's end. But then I realized that living again and being able to...
How did that happen to make the New York Times?
Actually, what was happening was that Michael Musto from the Village Voice was coming up to do the article for the Village Voice on, as he says, a falling angel, a falling icon of the movement, that I was down and out. And David Isaiah, who's been a very good supporter of me for years, was giving me money and whatnot, and he says, well, Sylvia, I can't get the community to help you, but maybe if it's put out into the public, you might get some financial help and whatnot. And through that, the article came out, and then the guy from the New York Times showed up at the hospital. John! John!
This is Green Lightning. This is obviously the beer that Sylvia Rivera prefers. I think the people that make Green Lightning have a great media opportunity here to make millions of dollars in sales by having Sylvia go on nationwide to say this is her favorite drink. Look at this. Green Lightning for breakfast. Sylvia Rivera's secret to a happy, healthy, and successful long life.
I was saying, trying to read me.
No, I'm not reading you. I said Green Lightning could make millions by having you endorse their beer on nationwide TV, right? I never heard of Green Lightning.
Oh, it's a cheap beer.
Oh, really?
It's $1.50 for 40 ounce.
Is it a good beer?
It's all right.
All right.
Gives you a terrible hangover 2 days later.
Oh. Well,
it takes me 2 days to get sober.
Well, beer is supposed to be healthier than alcohol. I like vodka. I have a weakness for vodka, which will kill you quicker than beer.
I love vodka. I sit here and I drink vodka by the day.
You mean we might have a future together yet?
That's right. Well, the other day when you were saying in the store, I'm having my cocktail when Coco walked in.
Right.
And she says, well, have a cocktail. I said, well, I'm having my cocktail. I wanted it so bad. I said, can I please have one?
You could have said. I would have given you
But
one.
no, I was like, And then, I felt a little embarrassed when she, as we were leaving, because I had already asked you for money the day before. Well, Sylvia don't have no money. And I actually read her outside. I said, don't ever ask nobody to give me money unless I ask for myself. Right. I said, because I don't like that. I get on the defensive about it. If I need money, I'll ask for it for myself.
Right.
And I was really upset about that because, very seldomly have I, 2, 3 times, I try to avoid the fact because I don't want people to think that I can't make it on my own. And you've known me for years, you've trashed me in print, But
I confess to that. I've seen the error of my ways. I was very cruel when I was younger and more intolerant. I treated you very unfairly in the gay newspaper, and I apologize right now.
Yeah, you don't have to apologize, because, I remember the time that we went to the UN, and I was dressed in my grub of the revolutionary look, the army pants, the army jacket, and there's Mr. Sylvia Ray Rivera, and I was like,
no, that was the time that I read you were going to execute a puppy opposite St. Patrick's, which I thought was a horrible.
I was like, not me. I had nothing to do with this.
It never happened, but they had the Humane Society. It was some sort of a stunt that didn't come off.
It was the gay ghost doing that, and unfortunately we got involved into it.
That's when I said, I confess, I told you, I said I wrote this article, and 20 times I said, Mr. Sylvia Rivera showed up wearing a dress and earrings. Mr. Sylvia Rivera said,
with an army jacket, with an army coat.
I said I had Mr. Sylvia Rivera in there that I never called anyone Mr. so many times in one article in my entire life.
I was like, I'm saying, why is he doing this to me? And actually that's when, our rivalry, my mortal,
right.
I was saying, well,
our misunderstanding.
Like me, I'm going to read him every time I got. And you know what one of my most embarrassing moments was for the 20th anniversary when we did the lecture at the community center, and you came in late. And once again, I was feeling no pain, but Randy came in late. Well, I don't see why Marsha and Sylvia had to speak first. And I was like, that's it.
I don't remember that. I didn't remember what it started. I just remember that you were circling around in the back room screaming at me, and I was saying, but you're not a typical homosexual. I remember that I felt was my
But then I felt bad because I knew that you had already been, taking care of Marsha and whatnot. Even Marsha came and says, but Randy's been good to me. I said, well, he's been good to you. I said, but he's been reading me for years and I'm not taking it. There were many a times that I was invited to do panels. Well, I said, well, I'm not going. Randy Wicker's going, I'm not going. I am not joining it. I said, because there'll be a war. And I think the people knew that. And I think this is the theatrics that they wanted us to play against
they pit you against one another. They think that you're enemies,
A lot of times that I was invited, well, Randy Wicker's going. I said, I don't think so. I said, I'm not going there. And I would think about it. And I said, well, I should go. And then I said, but why should I do that to myself and to him? And the community thrives on gossip and trashing each other. And I say, we are revolutionists. I say, Randy did his work.
I used to be an enemy of Bob Culver's too. I tell people, when you get older, all these things are not so important. And I think it's a real testimonial to the power of the love. Marsha P. Johnson was just living love. That she in a sense brought us together. Because when I was running her funeral, and I realized it was important that you speak, and then we did it in the way of chronology. When people knew her, and you gave a wonderful talk that day, and
I was like,
we made up. That was
because I left church, and I went and had a few drinks. I said, well, I was with my girlfriend Terry, and I said, Terry, I have to go speak to Randy, and she's like, because even a lot of my friends knew who you were by me speaking. I said, and as soon as I said, oh, he's running the funeral, I said, that bitch is running the funeral. I said, how dare he? But I was really impressed by everything that was done by you, by Bob, and mainly you and I
thought I had an obligation to Marsha, it was a sense to respect Marsha and her friends and to give everybody their piece,
And I was like, I was impressed, and I said, this man, even after I, joined, even after I did my, my eulogy to Marsha and I sat there and I was crying and then when you got up and spoke and I was reading what you had written and what came from your puppy, what's the puppy's name?
Letter from the puppy to Marsha.
Oh, I was like, Now, this man has a heart. I said, there's no way that I can be angry at him for the rest of my life. We've all fought in different ways for liberation. And you did it because you were, not saying that you are that much older than me, but, you know, we're only 39. But
I'm only 29.
Oh!
I didn't know you were older than me.
Oh, well, you see. And it's funny
No, I'm
that,
57. How old are you?
44. I turned 44 in July. Oh, before.
I was telling someone what a stunningly good-looking, attractive young person you were in the early 20s, back in days of GAA.
Oh God, was I lovely then?
Politically incorrect to say, but a real hot-looking bitch.
Oh, tell me some more. I was cute back then. Well, but you know, the years.
You still have a very, very nice, strong features in your face. You know, I was looking at a videotape that Tom had shot the other day with you, and you still have a...
I still hold up very well. You know, I'm surprised with all the alcohol that I've drank through the years, and
time to cut down on that because you can't abuse your body forever. You know.
I'm going to die from alcohol, and I know it. But at least I've stayed. You know. For many years, you know, and part of the movement, I was shooting up dope, and nobody knew it. I shot dope in fucking City Hall when we went to do one of the, for the gay rights bill. I needed a fix. I went right into the woman's room, and I said, beep! And they were calling me, and I'm like, but the world doesn't know what Sylvia Rivera did behind doors. And I'm not afraid. I'm not ashamed of anything that I've done. Actually, when I say these things, I say because I don't want to see our young gays do what I've done through my life.
Let's get away from this.
Yeah.
So where are we going to? What do you want to do?
Actually, I want to introduce you to John. John. Well, no.
Well,
Everybody, how are you doing? I'm John.
we just, Hi, how are you?
Hi.
And who is John?
Who is
Yeah,
John?
who's this John?
John has an interesting story to tell because you live where do you live?
I live right up over here.
Show you his house.
We'll show the house.
And John, I just met John a couple of months ago when I moved down here. But John is very impressive because the simple fact, may I say what I'm going to say, that John has had full-blown AIDS for the last 10 years, and he still survived, and he works these streets. And John can go into further detail on how these organizations have turned him and his lover Jim away because they are homeless and they have no place.
Gee, is that true?
Yeah, well, actually, part of it, I haven't had full-blown AIDS for 10 years. I've had it for 6 years. But
You look perfectly healthy.
yeah, that's a big problem a lot of times. Is that a lot of times people think because you have a little size, you have a little stature, that you are healthy, but they don't realize how weak you feel a lot of times, you know, or how sick, or the other things, you know, that you have.
So have you gone to places like GMHC?
Yeah, they've turned me down.
On what basis?
Times I walked in and I said, I'm homeless, I have AIDS, and I need assistance, and they would say, there is no services available for you here. Go to welfare, go to whatever. And then I go to welfare and Social Security, and you get turned down all throughout that too. We've been homeless for the most part of 8 years. My lover has AIDS dementia. He's getting to the very serious stage now, you know, the last stage. And
How long have you two been together?
8 years now. Yeah.
How long has he had dementia? I mean, how long has it been that it's been getting really bad?
Oh, really bad. The last year is getting to the real bad stage.
You don't have any medical care? You're not at St. Vincent's? Nowhere do you get any kind of follow-up treatment or any?
Well, because of his form of AIDS dementia, You know, AIDS dementia takes on a lot of different forms. With him, a lot of it is paranoia. And so he will not go see a doctor. He will not go. But then that is part of what's kept us alive also, is because we don't take AZT, we don't take DDI, we don't take all those drugs, and that's why I was diagnosed in 1985, and so was he when they called it HTLV3, not HIV. You know, and so we're still alive. So I actually don't believe in taking these governmental drugs.
I want to cut in on
I want to ask some other questions about other organizations real quick, just to get it out of the way. How about like the People with AIDS Coalition? Because I went through this myself. I was rejected from GMHC when I had a sick lover because he wasn't officially diagnosed. He said, we can't be concerned with every gay person who has a sick friend, which to me, I won't give anything to GMHC, although I approve of the work they do. But for me, they let me down. But when I went to People with AIDS Coalition, I found a much more welcoming atmosphere.
The AIDS Coalition, I called them up once. Oh, people, right, okay, that one? Okay, that one. I called them once, and they told me I should get a social worker representative to work for me to try to get in with them. But they don't understand how hard it is when you're watching someone that has AIDS dementia. You can't run all over the city doing all these things.
I took care of 2 people that died of AIDS, so I know what you're talking about. It's a full-time job, and with no help, I can't imagine.
And of course, every move you make, he wants to know exactly what you're doing, why we're going there. And if there's the slightest thing of going to a social service organization, I mean, there goes the paranoia. And a lot of what, see those helicopters, a lot of why that paranoia is so bad with social services and everything is because we've been used so many times in the past by them. You know,
used in what way?
We've been promised, like we lived on Las Cruces, New Mexico for a year, out in the desert in a tent with a broken down motorcycle. And
actually, it sounds very romantic.
Yeah, it's not when you're stuck 15 miles away from town and you're stuck in the desert with rattlesnake scorpions, and not that romantic, you know. But there was an organization there, if I could just remember, there was a SWAT, I think it was called. I don't remember what it stands for, but SWAT. And it was an AIDS organization. And they promised us, you know, they get me on Social Security, they do all this, they do all that. And after 8 months, nothing. And then they even turn us down from the food bank. And we're living out in the middle of the desert with no money.
You don't even have support the federal government. Some places like in Maine, just being HIV positive, you can get SSI.
He has Social Security.
SSI.
Right. But you know, Social Security should be actually paying me for watching him. Because I haven't been able to hold a job because I have to watch him. You know,
if you were just a middle class or even poor working person, say, they would be paying daycare workers to come over 8 hours or 16 hours a day to take care of him while you were away at work.
Right, but the problem is also is that with dementia and with the paranoia that goes along with that, he wouldn't trust anyone. You know, that's the other part of it. You know? So that's one of the problems with that.
No family or anything like that. How many people, are there a number of people like your lover down, or that you run into in the homeless?
There's a lot of people out here.
None of them are getting any attention at all? Nobody is getting any help?
There's one that lives beside us, but I can't say her name or even show you where she lives.
Janice is willing to speak and whatnot, and Janice has been one of our main concerns right now in the last
big concern right now. But the problem is, you have to remember, she might not remember this later. She has serious dementia, HIV cognitive impairment. She can't even get on welfare. She's been trying so hard.
She has,
and she's gone through every appointment, everything she has to do, and they keep turning her down because she's always going back to the hospital and she misses one appointment. And that's it. You know?
That's true even of people that have it together. I mean, it's amazing if you don't have somebody to help you take care of going to the Social Security office and filling out forms and, you know, all these various things, you just fall out of the loop and you have to start from base one.
Right, but there should be something there. If someone's fighting for Social Security also, because they have a form of mental disability or physical disability, there should be a loophole there where they can still, make back. If they miss an appointment, they shouldn't be automatically cut off.
Not to convince me. I've always wondered if you didn't have someone to run around. I mean, it's incredible. They lose you in the computer if you're on welfare or even in Social Security. Your check doesn't come or they lose you in the computer. And, a lot of people that are sick don't have the energy to run down to sit all day in a welfare office to see their social worker to get things straightened out.
It's like Sylvia. She did everything she was supposed to do, but they lost one piece of paperwork. She got it cut off.
I got to start all over again on try to get.
She just found out the other day.
Public assistance. And
I've always said that they make welfare so hard and such a problem to get that if you could do anything else in the world, you wouldn't go through the changes they put you through for the little bit of money they give you.
And it's not like, I know that a lot of people feel that, that there are a lot of people, and I know that there's a lot of people that abuse the system. I have worked from the age of 14. Marsha and I worked at the same company, Charles Restaurants, for years together. She was the grand queen waitress, and I worked in the office. I was an accounts payable clerk. And actually I started off as a messenger boy picking up all the guest checks, and then I said, well, I don't want to be doing this all my life, so I had people show me how to be an accounts payable clerk, which when I left the company, I was actually learning to be a bookkeeper and a CPA. But Marsha and I worked together for a lot of years. But what I wanted to say before, being that we were talking about AIDS and whatnot, is that I work with John. And what we call work is like when we go out and try to pick up cans or find something that's valuable to sell. Is that John, I thought, he was joking with me, but John does get run down very easily. And now I'm seeing different factions of what AIDS does to people, because I have to rest for a little while, and we'll sit and we'll bullshit for a half hour. And he says, okay, now I'm ready. But it hurts to see that people are not being helped. This is my whole...
What do you think would be the most important thing? There are all kinds of things. Besides, say, financial support, would just having food delivery, would having something like God's Love We Deliver come here and give you hot meals every day or twice a day?
That would help partially. Partially that would help, because that's one big thing every day is just getting the money to get food, That's just one big thing, but also there's there's other expenses we have here. Everything we do basically costs money. We're pretty...
Like what else? What else would you, next to food, what would be the next thing you'd like to get here?
A way of heating our houses, winter's coming. Some kind of an indoor heating.
Would that be safe here, or would it be stolen?
You can get, there's always, on this side of the camp here, we don't even deal with that over there, because I don't know if you told them yet.
I did. You go right
That's all the crack addicts over there, Tom. We don't deal with them.
But now, if they knew you had some nice warm heaters over here, wouldn't those crack addicts be crawling over the wall to get them?
There's always someone here watching someone else's camp. We always have that agreement. And so it's this camp here, my camp, and the next camp up there, and the next one up there. There's always someone sitting outside watching if everyone else is gone, so we can watch.
You want to go up? Can we go up?
Sure.
Why don't we do that, and we'll see, take a tour?
Another thing that while you're in...
I'm really glad I'm really glad I'm very glad I met you, because I didn't know.
You have these kerosene heaters.
But not only that...
Well, we can say that up there.
It's like it's not the fact of staying here for the winter, Randy.
Right.
What's bothering me is that John and Jim And,
But you have nowhere to go, right?
No.
and Janice and
Who's got a cigarette?
And here, we'll share this. But I have to see something done for them. It's not for me, because I have somewhere to go. I think I can find a place to go. But I can't see them surviving another winter out here.
I tell you, I'm flabbergasted because, I mean, I consider myself very aware on all these AIDS issues, and it just didn't dawn on me that there'd be no support at all. You know, I figured that even the homeless would be getting, you know, immediate SSI and medical care.
You're right up to the, what is it, the gay community center. Walk right up there and ask, what kind of support do you have for?
They give away. Well, they give.
They'll tell me right down.
They won't
right
let
at the
them
desk.
take it.
They do give food out. I think Metropolitan Community Church. Don't they have a food pantry? They give out food one day a week.
They moved up to 36th Street. Now, the Reverend Pat, through the Reverend Ramirez, which you met at the Imperial Queens meeting last month, turned me on to the Reverend Pat. Now, Reverend Pat has been on vacation. She came back 2 weeks ago. I have called her several times on this issue. They have a building. They have somewhere where, what my thing is
I know they give out food because Brendan Fay, who used to work for me, he worked with them, and he was telling me about giving out bundles. He had the attitude, well, there's no reason to be hungry. They can go up and get a package of...
Not everyone can go up. People are sick. You have one person up there right now.
There's a lot
They're
of
so
times
mentally
that
out of it. She'll never remember. She can't even remember where the water pump is every day to go get water every day.
And you know, and my
yeah,
whole thing is that I don't want to see. I may spend the winter out here for the simple fact that if I can't see them off the street, why should I go get shelter for myself? Because right now, I have to prove a point as a Stonewall veteran.
But hurting yourself doesn't do us no good.
I will always.
Sylvia can make a lot of noise. Let's go on up and...
So you can make noise, I'll tell you that.
And that's important, making noise.
Don't trip.
I think we're going to get rain.
No, it's not much.
It's starting to rain. You better cover your camera lens. It's starting to rain.
Don't worry about it. Huh?
Put that one inside.
Yes, I did. It's inside.
It's safe. We're always here.
My whole thing right now is that I cannot see them staying here. And if I find a comfy place to go and live, which I've been offered, is to leave them out here. They're all, like I say, they're my kids, they're children, because they are younger than I am.
How old are you?
34. Let me get a piece of cardboard for your camera. Okay? This is our living room.
This is the living room quarters over here.
Barbecue cookouts?
Oh yeah, we cook.
Uh-huh.
In between both camps, we do very well. And
Will this help you? Just to keep the rain off the land.
and you know, we do manage to survive.
Now you want to tell me about this is your
This is my home. It's not clean, so I'm not going to show you the inside. But this is our living room here.
Well, this is very formal, actually. I matching velvet chairs. They say these people are poor.
Everything is from the
It
garden.
looks nicer than some of the stuff I have in my house. Huh?
That's our stove over there. We cook off the barbecue.
I'm just gonna
That's
cut.
charming.
Okay.
You talking about what?
Yeah.
And my partner lives over here, but he's not here right now.
Uh-huh.
Because I forewarned him, so he didn't want to be here because of the paranoia. Right. So.
Now, what is the relationship you have with the people in here? Do they ever...
It's pretty good usually because I watch their cars at night. So I've caught about 3 or 4 people actually breaking into their cars And I've gone over to the security desk over there and let them know. So it's pretty good. They, you know.
Free watchmen.
Yeah, they should actually have security out there, but then I guess if they did, they'd probably close up the fence and not let us through. So we're free security, you know. But the guys that work here, they appreciate us, you know.
This is your kitchen?
Yeah, this is our kitchen. It's a mess again, like I said, but I haven't cleaned it up. But
You do cook a lot of cooking here, or just occasionally?
3 meals a day. I make sure he eats 3 meals a day. You know, he has to have proper nutrition. So it's hard to find fresh food, fruits, fresh fresh vegetables. It's hard to find that. You know.
How long you've been here? For how long in this location?
Well, we started here, what was it, last year?
Well, no, I actually told them that you built Terry's house.
We built all these houses.
You built Terry's house, then you built our houses.
Right, I
You're
built
the founder. You're the president. You're the mayor.
She's the mayor.
Sylvia is just an honorary guest, right?
I'm an honorary guest. That's what it is.
You kind of look like the mayor, to tell you the truth.
I need one of those big red ribbons, you know, with a big buckle on there. Just make it 14 karat.
For Shady Brook Lane, Co-op Incorporated.
What would you give for a key to the city? I mean, there are no keys here, right?
Probably a condom. Condom. But, you have to make it the way you can. And then if the social services aren't there for you, a lot of people are too sick, mentally ill, or physically sick to even go as far as we have.
How much can you make going out and picking up cans in a day? Say that you're able to, that your friend isn't tying you down.
If we have a good day, maybe $10. So.
We survive.
And that's, if we split it between ourselves, so that's $5 a day. And that my $5 goes between feeding me and Jim for 3 meals a day.
Well, what we do is we combine between 2 camps, and we try when there aren't arguments between the 2 camps. Because, gay people it's not gay people, everybody argues.
I don't think that a lot of gay people ever think of gays being homeless and living, in lean-tos like this.
A lot of times,
The image of gays they're all down in Pensacola, Florida at the big disco, flashing the new sportswear.
I see you pushing a shopping cart down here in the village, and we are in the village, and
we're in the middle of the gay gathering
right.
of New York.
But they'll see you pushing a shopping cart. They know you're gay because they've seen you around for years. Okay. But because they think you're homeless, suddenly it's because you're bad. You've done something wrong. That's the way they think. They look at you like, well, maybe you're an old hustler and you ripped off too many tricks, or you've done all that stuff. And that's the way they look at you, and they walk away. They turn their back on you. But if they could just understand what we're saying now, that's not the story. The only reason I'm homeless now is because my friend has such bad paranoia that every time we walk into an apartment, we'll raise the money, we'll save the money to get into an apartment, but 1 or 2 days there and the paranoia is so bad, he has to leave. Well, of course, I'm going to go with him. I'm going to go with him.
Wherever he goes.
I go.
Where is he now? He said he left.
Yeah, I sent him someplace to make sure he's all right. So
he basically, I think he got paranoid because
he got a little paranoid and he got a little upset. So
I think we should. I just was down here today exploring, but might be interesting. I'm going to call God's Love We Deliver. We can do a little test of some of these groups and find out what the. Apparently, it seems to me you're just on a loop somehow. That because I'm sure that the people that run these organizations, a lot of them are volunteers. I know people that volunteer, and I'm sure that it would be more rewarding to run down here with some meals for people.
And they said you had to have an address. I said, well, I have. It just doesn't have a number. You know?
Yeah, we need a number 399 tab here.
Maybe.
69.
That would be interesting to test our gay city councilman who's HIV positive and ask him if there's a way they can pass a bill or introduce legislation to give an address. Yeah. There has to be. I mean, this is a part of New York. This is something. I mean, I don't know it. It could be given a number and a name.
Because the other problem is...
Sanitation department, they have an address. They get mail delivered every day.
But the other problem is...
that number A. We just put a big A.
But the other problem is now that you know, they're threatening to have us kicked out at any time. Now,
who's they?
Well, we're not sure exactly who they is. We believe it's the city, but the signs up there say the Hudson Conservancy.
Did you notice the
We're having a meeting. We could go there.
You know, because they're planning on kicking us out.
Today?
Was that who they were?
There were suits, and they were pointing and whatnot.
See, they're planning on clearing this all out. Now, you see how clean we keep it here. We try. It's hard.
Well, where would you go? I mean, is there an option where you?
Well, we'd be sleeping on a bench step somewhere.
But there are a number of little encampments like this around New York, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but they're mostly like that over there. Crack Haven.
This is crack. Well, you know.
I can't subject him to Crack Haven.
This is something else I think people never think of in terms.
This is the gay community of the homeless people.
Is this the only encampment of gay homeless that you know?
That I know of right now. I mean, it's not Crack Haven, you know. I'm just that's mostly gay over there on that pier, but that's a lot.
Down towards that end, and up that that way is straight, and down towards that end.
Is there a division in other homeless encampments between people that are like Crack Haven and people that really aren't, that just are on hard times, that are trying to hold it together and improve themselves?
I've looked, you know.
What do you find generally? It's all just
where we came.
I'm just saying.
This is the emptiest, you know. This is where.
What I'm saying is that you find the same division in other encampments where there are people that are crack addicts and other people that aren't, and there's a division where they try to, like, keep away from one another?
Not that I've seen, no. Here we have a fence between the two of us. We have a fence, and we
try to disassociate with everyone that's into the heavy drugs.
Because all it is make us look bad.
It makes the community look bad. Here still and yet we're homeless, but we're worrying about keeping the image of gay brothers.
What those people do in the neighborhood. You understand the people out there that are paying $1,000 for a studio. I mean, if they have drugs,
I invite them for 1 week to try this.
Crack and turning tricks in their hallways. They say it's all coming from that encampment. They don't differentiate
the whole
this side and that side.
Well, actually, you know, the only thing that was great when the New York Times article came out was...
When was that? How long ago?
Do you still have the article?
No, it was a Sunday Metro section front page. It was like called the He She's, Shantytown of the He She's or something like that.
How long ago?
It was...
This is
a couple of months ago.
Before the 4th of July. So it came out like right after Gay Pride, in between Gay Pride and the 4th of July.
Right.
And actually, our side of the pier, even though they referred to that, our side of the pier, they brought up the colors, the American flag, the colors, the gay colors, and the upper, we were called the upper crust, or
comfortably situated.
Homeless. With the canopy.
Isn't it wonderful? I mean, when you read stories about yourself, I mean, it's amazing because I've begun reading stories about events that I was at and not realize that it was an event I had attended till I got to about the 10th paragraph.
But the problem with
they actually gave us very nice, you know, print up on our side, but it's still referred to.
Well, it was maybe half a paragraph, but the real thing was after that media attention, right away we had problems. Right away,
With whom?
Well, immediately, we never had that before. Suddenly you have helicopters flying down, the very next day, flying down, looking around,
Now,
taking photographs.
Oh, really? You think these are police or state agents?
It could be, because they could be expecting that we're all drug people or whatever. You know, I don't know. But also, you had police pulling up and starting to walk right through here all the time. And it's a form of harassment. They might not be kicking you out or whatever, but just the intimidation is a form of harassment, you know, for a homeless person.
But what would happen if, say somebody went crazy over there and came over here and attacked you and was killing Sylvia? Could you run, and would a cop come if you ran over across the street and said, please, my friend's being murdered? Would a cop respond and come over?
John would kill.
No, I'm asking, no, I just want to know, have you ever? No,
maybe, but
no, have you ever, I'm saying, did you feel that the police are there, that if there was a real horrible thing happening?
About us?
Well,
The police don't care.
You really think that would they just show you away?
They'll probably take... Maybe they'll come fast, maybe they'll take their time, I don't know, but if someone came over here, my partner, who I love very much, was getting hurt or being threatened, I protect him.
Well, that's understandable, but I'm just saying you don't feel, in other words, you don't feel that there's any...
I'm going to wait for him to get
You
hurt.
feel the police are there, as a friend of mine said, to protect property, not people.
What was that?
Yeah, well, what happens is you have... Let me put it the way I think at it, and the way we all, I think, have to live through it. We go out there and we work, picking up cans or whatever, but we're all constantly being watched and harassed by the police while we're doing that, okay? Because they think maybe we're going to steal something, maybe we're going to do whatever. But then, the next minute, you know, and a lot of times they'll stop and they'll check your ID and they'll do all this, you know? But then the next minute, you know, the next day, you have the homeless police coming through here going, well, we care about you, and you know, hey, give me a break, make up your mind.
You said the homeless police?
Yes, it's a homeless outreach unit.
Right, yeah.
They come through, and we've had arguments with them also. We've actually kicked them out. We've actually kicked them out of here once. We told them how full of it they were, you know. You know, I mean, because they're full of it.
There's an example. Talking about
It's a waste of
what the
taxpayers'
police and services will do for the homeless, and especially if they know that you're gay. And the incident, let's walk down and talk to Janice.
Okay, she's expecting us now?
But Janice got ill one week, and she was sick for 2 or 3 days, and we finally ended up calling the emergency ambulance. And my friend John, who was sleeping in the house while you taped, had to throw her over his back because they wouldn't even come in through that fucking hole in the fence to take her for medical attention. And this queen was dying. She was completely dehydrated. And this is Janice bumping, thumping, shake and bake.
Bumping, shake and bake.
But
good morning.
I'm Randy.
But this is Randy Wicker.
Nice to meet you.
And you know Tom from before.
Yes.
But
nice to see you again.
it was a heartbreaking experience because to see my boyfriend jump up and grab her and throw her over his shoulder. They wouldn't come here for her. And then they tried to break her neck as they were wheeling her out, where I had to jump in front of the ambulance where John was there already.
Right. Yeah, we're young.
And we got all...
That was abuse.
The information down. But all we were worried about was that she got the proper medical help.
She did get taken to a hospital, though, right?
She did.
Yeah,
except that we couldn't find her for 7 days, but we
couldn't
found
find her for
her.
7 days because the hospital didn't have her sister, who's a police officer, is the only one who was able to find her. To the computer.
Do you have a doctor you can go to if you're feeling real sick?
No, I don't. I have a family doctor, but he's very expensive, and I cannot afford him. No.
Tried going to any of the clinics to get continuing care when you have problems?
No, I really haven't. No, I really haven't, to be truthful with you. No, and I suffer with seizures very bad. No.
See, that time she was so sick.
Take Dilantin?
Yeah. And when I was in the hospital, the nurse there, she referred me to a what do you call those people that work for the welfare? A social worker, that's right. She referred me to a social worker there, and the social worker, let me see, how can I say this? They gave me Dilantin, but they said they wouldn't do it again. And next week I have to go to fill out papers.
They didn't give you pills to take every day?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And they said they wouldn't do it again.
This is St. Louis, and she has no insurance, because she's been cut off of welfare.
And next week, I'm supposed to go back to the hospital so I can fill out some papers so I can try to get back on welfare again. And that's what I'm trying to do right now.
How many seizures have you had?
I've had quite a few. I really can't remember. I've had quite a few.
It's just starting to heal up now.
And as I get older, they're getting worse.
I took care of somebody that had seizures. They're terrible things to go through. They can be very serious.
And that's how my face got all scarred up from falling down, you know, and things like that.
I usually prescribe her medications. I hold her medications and give it to her, usually.
Well, my friend, he would feel them coming on. He had this awful feeling, and he would run and take a Dilantin, and that would keep it from coming on.
The last one when we were at the pantry at, what is it?
Told me that if you have a seizure, you're most likely to have another seizure in the next 24 hours.
And
You want to keep that in mind. So if you ever have a seizure, it's a very good chance. Yeah, it's a much greater chance of having the next 24 hours than any other time.
And then, you know, we lost her, what was it, last week? Week before last.
Yeah.
We lost her for 3 or 4 days. She had completely
Forgotten where she was,
where she lived,
where she was going.
She didn't know
She
who
didn't recognize
was.
us when we saw her out in the streets.
And we lost her, and we were, and we.
When we saw her on the street, she didn't recognize us.
She's one of our main concerns right now. You know, we all worry about each other. But
Does your memory come back, though, as the seizure recedes? You find you start remembering?
After a few days. And like I stated earlier, as I get older, they're getting worse.
How old are you?
Some of the memory.
I'm 39.
Not all of it.
I'm 39.
Some of it comes back, not all of it.
how old?
I'm 39.
Oh, come on now,
Well, we got
child.
it on another tape.
We got on tape now, right?
I
She forgot the last 5 birthdays.
Cigarettes.
I was
She
born
does.
in 56.
She does forget, and we do worry about her. And basically, once again, when it comes to food and whatnot, we all try to feed one another.
How long have you lived here?
She's one of our main ones that we make sure that she eats something because of her
I've lived here
medication.
quite a while now. I've lived here quite a while, and
A year or two?
I'd say about 2 years or maybe more. Yes, through the winter. And I usually go garbage picking to find sweaters and things like that so I can stay warm in the winter, because I know the winter's coming on, you know. And I have a lot of sweaters and coats and things like that to take me through in case I can't get on welfare, something like that. But I have to get on welfare, and like my girlfriend stated, you know, they're concerned about me, and they really would like me to get on welfare, and I have to get on. I have to really get on.
Besides welfare, there's programs like SSI, which is a federal program that might be easier, because a lot of the welfare programs are getting very hard now with the Republican mayor and everything. And
Well, all I know,
have you tried to get a social worker at Gay Men's Health Crisis or anything?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't, because I really don't know how to go about things like that. I really don't.
Randy, not trying to cut her off and whatnot. Like I said, you know, obviously just by talking, you know, she's not. I'm not trying to put her down or anything, but she is also. It's hard. Besides being gay, she's a drag queen.
Oh, you're not a woman. You had me fooled.
Oh, don't get. Now she's really going to think she's the
now
grand
you know who's diva, right? Now you know who's grand diva.
But it's hard, you know. It's always been hard for DQs, TVs.
You're HIV?
Yes, I am.
And you know, and she has a lot of problems, you know, and it's And it's
But you know this term, because I live with people that they call it dementia. That's a very bad term, because it's not that you're demented. It's just that it should be called confusionitis. You just get a little bit confused.
She gets confused.
See, now, I've never heard of that before. Now, one day, Sylvia and myself was talking, and we were just talking in general, and she was telling me about how bad I was getting, and that that they could lose me for a while, and they're very concerned about me. And I think that's wonderful that they're concerned about me, because my family lives out in Queens, and they can't, come over here all the time to look after me. So
Do they come over here sometimes?
no, they don't.
Never, or they never came once?
No, I have to usually go over there to visit them. And my brother lives in the Bronx, and
I wouldn't take you in if you were really sick. I mean, in the sense that you were bedridden.
they would, but see, they have my foster mother. She has a lot of foster kids to keep money coming in because she has a home, and I really never wanted to go live out there because, like, the foster boys, I want them to be straight. I don't want them to pick up my gay ways. I don't think that's right. I don't think it's right to force my lifestyle.
I think people, you couldn't, I don't think they would be affected by your being there, really.
Pick up my ways. And I
Resist putting on a dress?
I really don't know, but I'm not going to be around them. I don't think it's right to force my lifestyle on someone. It's not right. It's just not right. It's just not.
Most people don't want to go back living with their mother or foster mother because they always treat you like a child. Even though you're 40 years old, to them you're always a little baby,
And she's always treated me wonderful. Oh, yes, she's always treated me wonderful. But I just don't think it's right. It's just not. Because, like, every time I go over there, they look like up to me. And that's when I say to myself, it's just not right for me to live out here. And my brother, he lives in the Bronx. He's gay too, but he's very suit and tie. He works for the post office. And he would take me in, but I really don't want to live with him. I just want to be on my own. I just do.
I think everybody wants to be on their own, really. I think it's very understandable.
And I wear glasses, and someone stole my gold frames, and it's hard for me to see at times.
If you go into, the drugstores, they have glasses that you can try on up to certain powers that work, as well as optometrist glasses. I know it's only $12. I'm saying, but it's $12 or $15. But I'm saying, if you're worried about getting your glasses, you don't have to go to an optometrist. You might be able to find a pair of glasses in a drugstore for $10, $12 that work. Well, I know, but I'm just saying it is a lot less money than $200 or $300 that you pay to go to have an optometrist.
I can't hear.
You can hear?
No,
Okay.
I see. But like once I get on welfare, I'm going to take my Medicaid card to a hospital and let them test my eyes so I can get a pair of frames, because it's a must. It's a must. It really is.
You can read the directions on the medicine without eyeglasses, right?
And that's bad.
That's one problem she had one time was that she was overtaking her medicine. That's when I decided to take over her medicine and start dispensing it to her, because she was taking too much. She didn't realize, and that's one of the times she ended up going to the hospital.
100 milligrams.
Well, she should have an advocate out here checking over her all the time.
Okay, well, I mean, I wish you well.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
And this is Shady, like I said, this is Shady Brook.
Shady Brook Park?
Shady Brook Lane, as
Shady
we call
Brook Lane. And we have that. So we have the name. All we have to do is get the city councilman to give you a number.
This is Shady. Don't fall in the hole.
Not with my camera, anyway.
We do have beautiful.
Right, don't fall with my camera, no.
Did you find your camera again?
No, I haven't.
You lost the camera?
No, it
It's
probably
probably
was.
an issue.
I hope so.
But,
They may have laid it out on the counter, and then in the morning, you know, John is not very bright. He could have let somebody walk in and walk off with it, you know, if it was just laying there. But I thought I put it away.
I thought you did too, because I remember the last picture you took the last.
I could have sworn I did, right. That's why I'm so twisted. I think I couldn't get into the drawer. The dog was blocking the drawer, and I think I must have tucked it somewhere. But I swear I've torn the place apart. It'll probably turn up when I move a box or something.
But once again, you know, going back, you spoke with Janice, and you see that she's not all here. And she's one of my main concerns for the simple fact that she reminds me so much of Marsha at times, you know. And she looks at the river when she loses her mind, and all I do is sit. I said, please don't jump into the fucking river. Don't jump into the river. I mean, and like I said, we lost her about a week or 2 weeks ago. For 3 or 4 days, she was gone, and we couldn't know.
Let me get on this side because I can't.
We didn't know where she was, and it concerned us. And when we did see us, like John said, is that she ran away from all of us. She didn't know who she was. When she did come back, it's like, well, thank God I'm home. And I'm like, well, where are you? I'm in the village somewhere. Well, who am I? She says, your girlfriend that always feeds me, and all the other girlfriends feed me. And I said, well, who the fuck am I, bitch? And she finally started snapping. She said, oh, you're Sylvia. I said, well, thank God you at least, because I said I was going to have you committed.
No. After, I can tell you, I lived with someone, didn't know me for a couple days in the hospital, but slowly they come back. When you have a seizure, it sort of wipes out memory, and he remembered his sisters towards the end. He knew them, he loved them, he had the same feelings, but he couldn't remember their names. Say, oh, you. And they couldn't remember the name. They said, well, who am I, George? He'd say, you're my sister. But he couldn't remember his sister's name. So it's not quite as bad as...
We didn't want to have her, you know, but it's just that we didn't want her to hurt herself or anything, you know. Because after she did come back to camp, as we call it, camp, it was the fact that she was still so out of it that she was looking at the river, looking at the sun, and I'm sitting here in our encampment, and I'm like, oh, Lord.
So now
the last things that I remember from before Marsha passed on was that's what she was doing, was looking at the river and looking at
saw her dead father in the bottom of the river.
And that's all I keep worrying about, and I'm like, I can't have this happen to me again.
What now? There's a wall over there, but what about those people over in that section? Are they part of the other section, or are they part of this section?
They're actually a part of both sections. We get along very well with them, and unfortunately, they're in, you know, to the crack and whatnot. But you know, we share amongst ourselves, because when they find food, they bring us food, and when we find food, or whatever food is given to us, we all share it.
One thing that I wonder about, that say that you were to get portable heaters for these 2 or 3 little houses here. It's a cold winter night. I mean, wouldn't you find that all these people would then be like knocking on your door to keep warm?
Actually, you know, like, you know, once again, you know, like I said, I don't plan to be here for the winter.
I'm saying that, and it's given the situation that
we basically, once again,
it should be the closest warm spot.
You know, the end of my house is the dividing line between the world, that world, and our world. Our world is, we want to keep basically to ourselves as gay people, and proud gay people, even though we're homeless. But we don't want nobody to bother us. And like I once again say, yes, we all drink down here on this side, but we're not into heavy drugs. And that's the main focus point that people got to realize, that just because you're homeless, we're not sick people.
Well, a couple of things I meant to ask you. I never knew. How did you happen to meet Martin Duberman? He featured you very heavily in the Stonewall book.
Meeting Martin was, if you remember correctly, well, that's right, you don't remember that one from the Gay Community Center on the 20th anniversary. It was, oh, God, David I. Sayers' tape from Remembering the Stonewall. Mike something was originally supposed to do the book on the Stonewall, and somehow Martin got a hold of my name, and that's...
So you met him then at the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, and he came, he came many a times to my house in Terrytown and did the interview and whatnot.
How long ago did you lose your house in Tarrytown?
It's about 3 years now. And
what happened to your lover? You had a
I still see him. Actually, Frank and I have we're going on 16 years in November. We've had 8 years of non-sex, but we love each other. We're very good friends, and when I need a little change, I can go and see him. And he comes down and he visits. You met him at the Imperial Queens meeting the last time. He spent 4 days down here. Except that right now...
Does he stay here with you? Or?
Yeah, he stayed. He stayed here. But right now, the whole thing is that his family doesn't approve of the fact that we've been together, and they got the AIDS phobia and whatnot. And
is he healthy?
Yeah. I always thank the Lord. I don't care what anybody says. I know there's a Lord. All through the years that I've hustled, and even when I was shooting dope and whatnot, and that's why I always, every 6 months or every 8 months, I go get tested, because I know that the AIDS virus was out longer than what they say. And I know that for a lot of years of my life, even in the movement, which nobody knew, which you didn't even know, thank God, because you would have trashed me.
Well, maybe rightly so. I mean, we can't have drug addicts running around being big guns in the movement.
But I was shooting dope, and...
have you stopped that completely?
Oh, yeah. My biggest...
How did you have it? Was that hard to do? Or what caused you to stop? What enabled you to stop?
What happened was that, as a matter of fact, the same incident that I discussed about when Marsha busted into our house with Terry was that we were all living, as we always did, there was 10 of us living in a one-bedroom apartment, but we came home and we found this queen that we called Lady June dead. And she had died actually from methadone poisoning because she was trying to kick the habit, and her system wasn't used to alcohol and methadone. The rest of us were. But
so that was a wake-up call for you.
It was a big wake-up call, because between Marsha and myself, it took between going to Philadelphia and trying to find her family and coming back on the bus, on the Greyhound bus from Philly. I said, Marsha, I have Lady June's aunt's number in the Bible. Because one thing that I was very good at is, like, everybody write down your real boy's name, your family. I don't care.
Do you have Phyllis's number?
I have Janice's number, yeah. And I was like, but when you come home and find somebody laid out on your couch dead, it's a complete... But Marsha and I spent 2 to 3 days in Philly trying to find the family, and on the way home I said, well, wait, we can.
Did you finally find the family?
Yeah, I did get a hold of the family here, and the family came and claimed the body. And it was a hurting feeling, and then I just decided, that it was my time to stop shooting drugs. I kept Marsha locked out of our own house for 3 weeks while I kicked the habit on my own. I wouldn't let nobody in the house. And Marsha understood. Because I know, from what I understand, I don't know how true it is, but through the years that I knew Marsha, and it was almost 30 years, Marsha was not into drugs and into drinking.
That was something, we thought she had a very fragile personality, and realized she had a fragile personality, as wonderful and warm as she was, and that she knew she couldn't handle any drugs or alcohol, and that's why she didn't.
People tell me now towards the end that she was drinking and taking drugs. Now, I don't...
She inherited, somebody gave her a $2,000 inheritance, and she started going out to discos. And she always occasionally would smoke a little pot or something.
Well, that's she always did.
She didn't. I think what it is she got hold of ups or got hold of, I don't know, whatever they have in the discos. Suddenly, because she had money, things were available to her that weren't available, and that's when she had her breakdown. It was so sad because this guy died and left her this money to help improve her life, and he almost killed her. I mean, simply because having that money ended up being a curse instead of a blessing. That's when she had her first major breakdown.
It's like, we...
And what they do to you, she wandered the streets of New York, they beat her up, they broke her false teeth. I mean, apparently if you're a crazy person walking the streets of New York, people take advantage of you. I mean, they brutalize you.
When I was doing well, and I used to come down to the village, and I basically used to come down just to find her, just so I could give her money. Just to give her money.
Couple dollars, a little change.
A little change, for the simple fact that she would tell me if I tried. I remember the first time that I saw her after like 2 years after I had moved upstate, up to Tarrytown and whatnot. And I said, well, girl, I got some money. I said, look. And I tried to slip her a 50. She looked at me. She said, oh, no, Miss Thing. I don't need that. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give it away. Just give me a couple of dollars, a little change. And it bothered me, even though I went home. I was like, and Frank was with me. That's the first time that Frank came down to the village, and he met Marsha, and he said, well, why didn't she take the money? I said, because this is the way Marsha is. Marsha knows what she's capable of doing, and she knows that if she took that money, she told me, I would give it away. So what I ended up leaving her was $10. I said, well, here. I said, you want a drink? I'll just buy me a sandwich, girlfriend. Fine, I bought her a sandwich. Well, here's $10.
Listen, I really enjoyed seeing the situation here today, and I think it's time for a little media blitz. We know a little bit about media blitzes. I think that the gay newspapers in New York should do articles, and I think that the organization should be confronted, and there should be a little noise made, and that this situation should be changed for the better.
You know what, Randy? Like
we can still raise hell, can't we? Think you could stay sober for a couple days?
I could stay sober, and I'll fucking go. I got to go to bat to help for the community now, because. And I'm glad that you have come down and seen. I know that you had mentioned it, and I'm glad that Tom and yourself came down. Tom has been down several times, and I'm glad that you came down. And even the other day when you said it, I said, well, fine, you come down. Because I want you to see, because I know you're a hellraiser as well as I am. And right now, I've closed so many networks in the past, and now the networks have to be open for the simple fact that you see what this poverty is in the gay community. When the gay community center is only 2 blocks away from here, actually, basically, if you go one way or the other. And they have no incline of what's going on.
We work together at putting out some we should get some literature, just some basic, information.
Well, tomorrow
get a reprint of that article from the Times as part of it?
I have that.
You do?
I have, well...
Because I like to get a Xerox of that.
The she one I don't have. I think, well, maybe Vinny might have it, but the thing is that tomorrow I even told Queen Allison from the Imperial Queens, another Stonewall bitch, that I was going to bring this up. I'm demanding a meeting with the director of the community center to know what's going on. And not only that, like I told Queen Allison, and I have to go and I have to tag Jeremiah tomorrow, that the organizations are not doing enough.
Well, listen, I'm going to make copies of this videotape, and with copies of the videotape, they have no excuse for not knowing, because through the eyes of this camera, they are going to be shown what's going on, and then if they don't react or do something about it, the onus is on them.
It's like, you know, David Isaiah, when he first, you know, sent Michael Musto to me and whatnot, he says it has to be known what's going on.
Did Michael do some good writing about the situation here?
He didn't come here. He did it up in Yonkers. But actually, now that I'm, like, you know, working with you and working with other people, I'll get a hold of him and I'll make it, and he'll come down and do an article on this. But it's up to a lot of, it's like, you know, John.
Listen, when you want to raise hell with a group, I mean, I'll be there wanting to stand up on the other side of the room so they can't just shut you up and ignore you.
We have to do something, and it's not even just the homeless issue, it's the big AIDS issue right here.
Is that you can't have holes in the safety net big enough. It's so big that this stuff goes on.
The community is just letting it fall.
The community doesn't know. I don't want to defend the community, because I really think that we have a compassionate and good community, and I think if people, I can tell you myself that I've undergone somewhat of a transformation today coming here. I've heard about it. I've never seen it. I always look for it on the other side of the building. And that's one reason I never knew exactly where it was, you know. And in a way, maybe it's good, because my luck, I would have wandered over there and some crack addict would have hit me over the head and I would have lost my camera, right? But I think if our community knows and understands that, look, we have enormous resources, you know, with taking care of thousands of people, and I'm sure that some sort of provisions can be made to get some of the basic necessities, certainly basic medical care, food support, whatever, into people like this that can't really arrange it themselves.
It's, you know, like, you know, it's getting the basic...
Even this nonsense of not having an address, I'm sorry. This is a place. This is an address. Even though it might not be recognized by the city, as far as I'm concerned, this is a spot of land on the waterfront of New York. This place should have an address. You know, in other words, this is a place, and every place has an address. Seems to me doesn't that seem like a natural right?
And you know, and like, you know, the homeless issue is one thing, but you know, you've spoken to John, you spoke to Janice, someone. These are people that don't need to be out here. They're not well, you know. John...
Listen, if you need to, you can use my store as an address. You know, such and such care of
Thank you.
My store, okay? So if you need it with some of these bureaucrats of social work, just let me know, and I'll start a file there, and we'll...
Because it's important, because, you know, it's going to be cold out here for these kids, you know.
The community center, that's something the community center could do. They could supply an address, you know what I mean? Or a center where people could get checks and mail, you know what I mean? That's the kind of thing I think the community center would be well. I'll certainly call them up and suggest it.
And, you know, we'll have time tomorrow.
We have to think of other things like that. Say, you know what it is? You have to work through these things. Who can do what? Now, I think that's a very simple and reasonable demand. And if they say no, I want to know why not. You know, I mean, if they certainly should be able to help homeless people get basic benefits, you know, that are gay. I mean, that's part of their obligation to the community, not just raising money from the Founders Society or whatever, where you give $1,000 a year.
I know. Someone was telling me yesterday that...
We could picket the Founders Society. They give $1,000 a year to be a member of the Platinum Circle, huh?
Give me $1,000. I can do a lot with
I imagine. It would sort of be, you know, because it's community center. I like the community center, but they're kind of bureaucratic, you know. They're kind of like...
you know,
well, I mean, that's just the institution. You know, nothing against them, but, you know, bureaucrats, institutions are run by bureaucrats, whether they're gay or straight institutions.
Obviously.
And I always like tweaking bureaucrats. I don't care whether...
You know, we've become so mainstream and whatnot lately, you know, and everything is business, and that's the way I look at it. It's not, like in the beginning, you know, we fought for a lot of different things, and even our little, you know, the GLF Community Center was the first one.
Well, you started with STARS, Street Transfast. You and Marsha built a holding for home.
And we did our thing without the help of the community once again. You know, this is what I refer to all the time, is the things that Marsha and I did by the both of us hustling the damn streets to help our own without the help of the community, because the community did not help us at all.
You know, that's what community is caring for other people.
And that's what we're supposed to do. And this is why
you're the sister that feeds her.
This is our community.
That is a fantastic endorsement of you.
This is our community. Right? This is our little house.
I know now if I ever get hungry that Sister Sylvia will take care of me.
Honey, I will come.
I know she's good people. She's good people, and she'll take care of those that need it. Right?
I've been doing it for years.
Right.
You know, in Yonkers, I was named Sylvia by all the queens that lived in my area. I took them in.
Oh, we don't want to get that Ma stuff. Let's dye the hair. We'll be Sister Sylvia.
Okay. Let's take a break. I need